rant planned out for today that you and I were going to go into, because I feel like I have to warn you every single month, at least once a month, that you better be careful with narratives. Now, there is going to be a good narrative for LSU that comes in quite some time in regards to football. And I do think that's going to be in recruiting. And I do think LSU, from a financial standpoint, is going to do the right things from a high school perspective that they did not do in the past. At least I think they're prepared for it, unlike maybe years past. I want to be very careful here because I see some things that are being flying out there. And listen, there are a lot of people in this business who do a lot of really great things. They make a lot of really great content. I may or may not agree with their opinions, but I am telling you this right now. As God is my witness, if you think that the narrative right now should be that you are an SEC championship contender, I'm going to tell you to pump the brakes. I am here to tell you to pump the brakes. Can you be? Yes. On paper, can LSU be one of the top teams in the SEC? Yes, I think on paper they could. Guys, at some point, they got to go out there and prove that. At some point, we got to look at this and say, well, excuse me, even though game one against Clemson does not affect your SEC standings, the problem that I have right now is I think it's just a little bit too rich for me. Now, can you win 2 games because you're better that you played a season ago? Maybe. But one of those games would have been USC that I thought you could have won. Gus, Florida is not going to be an easy team this year. They got some players. And you're like, Blake, ain't no way Billy Napier coming up into Baton Rouge and beating us. I agree with you. If LSU and Florida matched off today, I'm picking LSU to win. And I made a promise to myself. I pick LSU to win every single game, every one of them, because I just don't think it's right for me to come out here and tell you what I think if I don't think that they have a chance to win. Guys, I'm going to pick against them in reference to if I think that you are or not going to win. I've never really done that. I did it once last year and got obliterated, and that was Bama. Well, people called me all kinds of names. Well, how did it turn out? We know how it turned out. The bottom line for this remains for me. There's a lot of content that's being put out there right now about LSU football, SEC championship contender, which they very well could be. There's a lot of questions that you got to answer. I'm being sent it all the live long day. Do I think that LSU, from a high school recruiting standpoint, is doing things better than they've done under Brian Kelly to some extent? Yes, I do. But, man, can you run the football? Are you still going to be in the hundreds in rushing this upcoming season? Guys, you lost a top 3 pick in the NFL draft in Will Campbell at left tackle, and we're supposed to think Emory Jones got drafted by Baltimore. What? There are question marks coming into spring or coming out of spring. Guys, a lot of you went to the spring game. The first thing that y'all said in the comments to me was, Blake, we get the offensive line gave up 6 sacks and a half in the first half. They only played a half, guys. The national media is building this off of paper. I am telling you now, they got questions that they got to get answered. I will humbly eat crow if LSU comes out here and dominates. Do they have the talent to beat Clemson? Yes. Does LSU have the talent to beat everybody on their schedule this year? Also, yes. Just because you're the most talented team and just because that you have things coming back does not mean that you're going to overcome it and do it. Some of this content that's being pushed out there by national media guys, basically from both recruiting sites, Brad Crawford, and listen, I love JD Piquel from On3. Love him to death. I listen to him. I respect his opinion. I think he does a fantastic job, and I really mean that. If you're going to go out there and say LSU's an SEC contender, SEC championship contender, over Georgia, over Texas, guys, I'm not there. Now, you don't have to play either one of them, and that's a plus. But I'm not there. I am not there. If you want the Band-Aid to be ripped off and for somebody to be out here and tell you the truth, this show will always be the one, whether you like me, love me, or hate me, we're going to come out here and tell the truth the way that we see it. I don't think you're there with those two teams. I just don't. But you also don't have to play them. You don't have to play them. We shall see. We shall see. But I hate a narrative being built that might not be attainable. Because I don't know if this team can get to 10 wins in a regular season. Guys, they haven't done it, and they haven't done it since 2019. So you could have 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. To be where you want to go, you got to get there. There are no more divisions. So are you going to go through – is year 6 – this will be year 6 of the Burrow era. I mean, are you going to go into year 6 and be in a situation where you make that run? I do not know. I hope you are. Guys, I pray to God they are. But nothing coming out of spring right now is telling me that. Maybe they come in August and I look like a damn fool, and I hope that I do. Guys, they turned the ball over. They couldn't run the football. Safeties were abysmal. They were abysmal. So, I mean, why do y'all think they went and got A.J. Halsey? All the reports coming out of spring were, and I read them, oh, no, the whole thing about safety, we're much better at safety than we were. Then why did you go get A.J. Halsey? So you can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. I mean, there was a lot of chatter that they were going after offensive linemen. Oh, we're not going to go in the portal. Bullshit. They went after a couple offensive linemen and that piqued their interest. That's bullshit. Don't act like that they did not. Don't you ever believe that they didn't try to fix what they saw in spring were deficiencies. If you believe that, then I got oceanfront property in Iowa to sell your ass, or Nebraska to sell your ass. It's not true. Cooper Patanglia is probably the only one on 247 that I thought was right. You can be a top 12 team. You can be a top 12 team when this is all said and done. I'm worried about going into the season and you getting a bigger head than you deserve. And I worry about, can you run the football? Guys, college football has changed so much. The teams that get in the top 12 run the damn football. They do. It's as simple as that. Go look at the numbers. These teams in the SEC and Big Ten, they can run the football. Are you going to be able to do it? Is such a bigger question. All right. We're going to come back. We're going to do a deep dive on West Virginia. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that. And then Carter Bryant's going to join us here at 7:35. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's get to a couple questions first before we get moving. Frank Castle says our biggest problem on paper and in practice was not having veteran bats last year. Stack a few star bats and some dudes that can be game 1 to 3 starters. Perfecto. Maybe. David says 11-1 regular season. You're not David, would you like to place a small wager? You're not going 11-1. Would you like to place a small wager? You're not there yet. There's a part of being a fan, which you guys get to do, and there's a part about, guys, if I don't come in here and be real with you and I sugarcoat and I ride the STTDB and make a pause, if I do that, all respect that you should have for me should be out the door. You ain't going 11-1. You're not going to run the football effectively enough to go 11-1. Tracy says, worried about the running game with that running back room. No, I'm worried about the running game because of play calling and because of your offensive line. Guys, this is what has happened the last 3 off seasons. I have come in here. This is not a brag at all. I'm not pushing it that way. We won't even clip this, but this is the truth. The last 3 years, we have come in here, and I've specifically stated that I am worried about a specific area. Last year was safeties and defensive line, where I don't think the defensive line was as bad as I thought it was going to be. Braden Swinson wasn't even in camp, if you remember. So we didn't even get to see him. A part of that, again, there were times where you gave up almost and did give up 250 to 300 yards rushing on the ground against ranked opponents. And you want me to come up in here and say that you've just magically gotten better. Maybe you did at edge. You can go to offense. Guys, you lost against A&M. You ran the ball for 36 yards. You had 36 yards rushing. I'm not there with you guys. I'm not there with you. So, yeah. All right. David says, Blake, on your topic, what do you think about the hype about Bama? All right, here's the thing. I haven't seen hype on Bama. So, David, if you want to send me some clips, I will more than be willing. In reference to Bama, I'll tell you this. We've talked about him on Ruffino and Joe show. I do not know who's going to be their starting quarterback, and so I don't know what to make of them. I don't know if defensively they're going to be better, but they feel like that they've absolutely hit it safety. They feel like they got some dudes on defense. We'll see. I don't know if I agree with them, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's get to it here. Let me get to a quick break. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we do a deep dive on West Virginia other than the preview that we did last night. Carter Bryant joins us at 7:30. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. LSU versus West Virginia this weekend in the box. LSU obviously advancing in the Baton Rouge Regional, and West Virginia coming out of the Clemson Regional, a team that guys this season went 44-14 and 19-9 inside of the Big 12. Last night when we previewed West Virginia, we talked about their bats a lot. Tonight we're going to do a little bit more deeper dive. We're going to talk about them on the mound. We're going to also go and talk about them at the plate yet again. West Virginia is a very solid team. They're more than solid, guys. They're a really damn good team. You got guys like Griffin Kern, the left-handed pitcher, the guy that you're probably going to see Friday or Saturday night, or Saturday at 1, I should say, who's had 95 innings pitched this year. He's given up 84 hits, 33 earned runs. But, guys, in the 95 innings that he's pitched, he struck out 100. But this is the big thing. Guys, he's only walked 29 dudes. He's only walked 29. And you have struggled against left-handed pitching. You have massively this season struggled against it. Cokie Riley over at The Advocate put a great article out about just how bad the numbers have been, you versus left-handed pitching. I don't know, which this could or could not happen. I don't know. You could see a lineup shakeup where Pearson starts in that first game, and when a righty comes in out of the pen, which if West Virginia is up or they're tied or we're around the same score, I do think it's going to be Reese Bassinger, who we'll talk about in just a moment, the top guy out of their pen. But I look at Griffin Kern. I look at what left-handed pitching has done to you all year. Guys, game 1, you're in for a dogfight. Kern versus Anderson, 2 big-time lefties. Got an ERA of 3.13 as well. The thing for me with West Virginia has been this year is also what they've done going into game 2s this season with Jack Carsanas, the man that we talked about last night with the Fu Manchu. This kid can really spin it, and he's got some attitude. Now, in the Clemson series, he struck out a guy for Kentucky and blew a kiss at him. Now, you do that in Baton Rouge, you're going to wind up getting your ass whooped. You can do that versus Kentucky. You cannot do that in the box because LSU's got a lot of really good hitters. But Cortsanis, as a right-handed pitcher, guys, he's only given up 6 home runs all season. In 64 1/3 innings pitched, he's given up 21 runs. He struck out 76. Guys, they don't have the best 1-2 from a starting pitcher perspective that you've seen all year. That goes to Tennessee with Liam Doyle and Marcus Peters. But my God, if they're not really solid, and they've been really solid, reason they go into that Clemson regional and win is mainly due to the fact that those 2 guys shoved. The guys on the mound shoved. Now, the problem has been, guys, they allowed a shitload of runs to Kentucky. They allowed a shitload of runs when they got to their bullpen. Starting, and that's why we talked about last night, starting pitching for them is solid. You're going to have to work that count up and be aggressive. Foul off some pitches. Get deep into counts. Don't take the bait when it comes to Griffin, when it comes to Cortsanis. Let them get that pitch count up. I don't know if Cortsanis, for what it's worth, he hasn't necessarily, like last time he started, he only threw 98 pitches, which that is a lot. But, guys, he was at his breaking point around 85 to 90. But he finished out an inning and was able to do so effectively. Guys, after that, it's a big downturn. Now you could say, well, Blake, it's a big downturn for us. No, they ain't got a Case and Evans coming out of there. They don't. They do not have a Case and Evans that's going to run out of there. Quite honestly, I don't know if they completely have a Reese Bassinger. They have Reese Bassinger, but I don't know if they have a Zach Cowan, be honest with you. Cowan has been better in the SEC than Bassinger has been in the Big 12, for whatever that's worth. And there were some really solid Big 12 teams this year. Now, I think they're the only one left. Maybe I'm wrong there. I might be wrong there. But they're a really solid team. Kern, Kurtsanis, Bassinger. The top guy out of their bullpen is Reese Bassinger. In 61 innings pitched, got 61 innings out of the bullpen. It's absolutely immaculate. He is giving up a hit per inning, though. He's got 61 innings, but 60 hits. He's given up 29 earned runs, 43 strikeouts, 12 base on balls, and 5 home runs. Guys, here's the thing for me. Here's the thing for me with them as a pitching staff. They are going to be in the zone. They're going to be all over the zone. And you got to be locked in and focused, because if you're not, they can get you. Guys, between the 3 best arms that they have, outside of Kern, who, by the way, has got 95 innings pitched. So it's not as if that he has a massive walk issue, because he doesn't. He doesn't give up many. But guys, they just don't. They do not walk a lot of guys. But if you notice, they also do not. They like for the ball to be put in the field to play. They're going to be around the zone. Kern, Kurtsanis, and Bassinger has really good stuff. You combine that with their style of play. I don't think the style of play for West Virginia is like what they got into Kentucky late in the tournament in the regional. They don't want games to be 12-12. Now, they might want chaos, but not that level of chaos with a team that can hit for power. They are a defensive, and I say fundamental team, but they got some really athletic dudes. Guzman, really athletic. Sam White, very athletic. They got a lot of athleticism, and they're going to run. They're going to be around the zone, pitching-wise, and they're going to put pressure on you offensively. They put all of the pressure on you, and they ask you, can you overcome what we're going to do? The bottom line is, for me, when you look at this team, whether it be offensively at the plate, guys, again, 104 stolen bases from their entire lineup. That is a shitload. That is a shitload of stolen bases from their starting lineup. They got guys coming in running bases that have, I think one guy had 8 stolen bases on the entire season. They're gonna get on the move. First and third, they're gonna delay steal. They did twice against Kentucky. If you go and watch the abbreviated clip on YouTube, they did it twice in a first and third situation where Kentucky didn't throw down. So the question becomes, when a team comes in here and is going to try to put a lot of pressure on you, can you take advantage of it? Because there's not an area, there's not one, maybe outside of hitting for contact, which is a big deal. There's not an area that they beat you in. You are more talented in every area. Last thing before we move on to Carter here. Sam White hitting above 300, 352. Kyle West, Armani Guzman. Guys, this Armani Guzman kid is a dog. Hitting 337 on the year, had some injuries earlier in the year, came back from the injury midway through the season, and all he's done is hit the baseball very hard. And guys, defensively, he's going to be at third base. He's going to be in right field. He made an outright major league level throw to third base against Kentucky that was on the money. They got a center fielder, a lefty, that is just got nothing but straight speed and can really play. You're going to – Civic, for what it's worth. God, that kid can swing it. They're going to put pressure on you at every level. when and if LSU overcomes that and puts the pressure on them, I think they're going to fold. It's a solid club, man. You could say Murray State. You could say whoever you want. Maybe there's some teams in the Super Regional that talent-wise aren't really there. West Virginia's a talented team, man. There's no reason that they should beat you in a 3-game series. Best of 3-game series. There's no way. But you play like you did this past weekend, and you have some moments like you did in the second inning of the second game with Little Rock, or the second inning like you did in Game 3 versus Little Rock, then all shit's off the table. But I think you can get it done. All right. Peyton Gates with a $5 super chat says, Blake, I don't know if you mentioned this, but Tristan Keys with Adidas didn't know if you were in trouble with us being a Nike school. We are not in trouble. No, look at baseball. Dylan Cruz had Victus and Adidas. Go look at everything that Dylan Cruz wears. He had that deal well before he signed with the Nationals. No, you're not in trouble. He's just going to do stuff with them, and they're getting out in front of this. So, yeah. All right, let's get to Carter Bryant. Let me take a quick break. The Power Hour next. Stay with us. Hey, Southwest Louisiana. Are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
You're an NFL GM. Okay. Are you taking Cade Klubnik over Garrett Nussmeier?
Today?
Yes.
Yes.
Can't wait, man. Cannot wait for the season.
Who are you taking?
I'd probably take Garrett. I probably would. But
why?
Intermediate passing is like something I'm a stickler for, and Garrett is one of the best intermediate passers I have ever
Is
seen.
turnovers a thing that's a stickler for you too?
Yeah, but I think those can get cleaned up, and Cade has had a fumbling problem. I think Garrett manages a pocket a little bit better.
No, he doesn't, Carter. No, he doesn't. Come
He-
on now. Come on now. Come on. Don't do that. Don't do this starting off the show now.
Blake, come on now. Garrett can work a damn pocket, man. Yeah,
When he wants to, yes. He also had 7 fumbles last year, which 5 got recovered by the other team because he bailed way too quickly and didn't want to step up or run. You had a video.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. He should run more.
Right. He does not want to go into that interior. Don't do that now.
So you think Cade's
Cade
better?
Klubnik ran for double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
don't give a shit.
No, he's a better runner. He's a better. He's an amazing runner. Honestly.
I mean, just what does it mean to manage the pocket?
Garrett, are you kidding me? I mean,
no. I'm asking to you. What does it mean to manage the pocket? Because if managing the pocket is wanting to step up and will take a shot to throw it, then yes. Because Garrett, that is a big issue with him. He's got to do that more.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I will also say that Garrett had to overcome one of the worst year I've ever seen at center at LSU, and
I don't want to do this with you, but continue.
No,
I'm not going to fight with you.
It's every time I'm on your show, I am called the Garrett Glazer. I've defended him tooth and nail.
You have defended him tooth and nail.
And look, he by no means is a perfect quarterback. But I say that because I had a guest on earlier tonight that said he would have taken Cade Klubnik and Garrett over Cam Ward last year. And I know you're a big
That is insane. That is stupid.
So you think Cam is a really good NFL?
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
No, so you think Cam Ward's going to be a really good NFL quarterback?
Carter, right now, he showed in college versus opponents that are all mutual. Cam Ward destroyed Florida. Garrett had 4 turnovers or 3 turnovers. What are we discussing here?
No, I'm with you. That's what I told the guys. I was like, I'd probably still draft Cam Ward over
I mean,
Garrett at this point.
That does not mean that these guys can't have prolific senior years and do some special things. Carter, the turnover issue for Garrett, the lack of wanting to fire. I mean, Cade Klubnik had the best performance that I've seen versus Texas as a quarterback with the amount of weapons he did not have. That offensive line was not good either. Their O-line's not fantastic either. I mean, do you remember the Georgia game? I'll send you the clip. Both of their guards pulled and knocked each other out of the game because they both thought they were supposed to pull.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm with so I just did my first Cade deep dive film study on the Texas game, and it was phenomenal. It really was really good. Were there some misses in there? Yeah, but I mean, to start that game throwing across his body, it was a throw to Wesco for a first down. That was insane. That was absolutely insane. So I like Cade a lot. It would be really hard for me to take Garrett over Cade as the number 1 overall pick, but I can't quit thinking about it since my guest said he actually leaned Cade over Garrett. It might just be my Garrett bias deep in because I was really, really impressed with Cade in that Texas game. I felt watching him throughout the year though, it just felt like something was off. I don't know exactly why that is, but I don't know. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on Cade all day as far as him and as an NFL prospect, and if I would take him over Garrett.
One had 40+ touchdowns and 6 picks.
Yeah, he had 36 and 6. Yeah,
but he had 30. Yeah, he had double-digit rushing. Did he not?
Yeah,
I mean, you could have made the argument. Right, he's closer to 50 than he is 40.
Right. I think it was like 43 total. So we'll see. We'll see. I
ain't even saying anything. Here's the truth. Can Garrett Nussmeier be the best quarterback in the country? Does he have the tools to do it? Yes, he does. Y'all keep making me be the villain here.
I'm not trying to do that.
Be the villain because every time we do this, I get a shitload of hate mail, and it bugs the shit out of me because I do not hate the kid. You had 17 turnovers. Until this fan base can beat it into their head that number has got a 2/3 drop for you to get where you want to go, you are kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself.
But one thing I don't think you do, though, is factor in the amount of dropbacks. I mean, Garrett had so many more dropbacks than any other quarterback in the SEC.
Carter, he had 17 turnovers. How many dropbacks did this dude have?
Oh, well, we're talking about the greatest college quarterback.
How many did Jaden? Y'all put him in that conversation. If he's the number 1 overall pick, then you've put him in the conversation with Burrow. You cannot have it both ways. You can't say that he's the top quarterback in the country and not start putting him in this form of class. You can't. That is what you're doing.
You can, because Jaden and Joe are two of the best NFL prospects I've ever seen at the quarterback position.
If he's the number 1 overall pick, that means he's got to do stuff like what they did.
That's not necessarily true. Because those guys did things at such a high level. Let me tell you, do you think Cam Ward was as good as Joe?
You mean to tell me that he doesn't have to have some Joe Burrow-like throws like against Georgia in the SEC championship game for people to be like, oh, man, this is a Heisman front runner.
Yeah, and he's made those throws. And Garrett made a ton of those throws last year.
And what I'm saying is, until y'all beat into y'all's heads that the other factor in that is the turnovers, then you're missing the entire point.
Yeah, but I am pushing back on that point, Blake, because he had so many dropbacks last year. He had over 550 dropbacks.
Let's go to A&M. Let's go about the 3 interceptions of A&M. They were bad. The dropbacks don't have shit to do with it. The turnovers that he has not shit to do with it.
And he lost that game for him.
A&M, Ole Miss. Carter
was one of the best games I've ever seen a college quarterback have. Like, I don't know how you watch that game.
Because you had 4 turnovers.
Yes, with a center that was in his lap for the entire game.
Carter, he ran from pressure and threw the ball into his lineman's helmet, and it got picked.
And that was a bad turnover.
He threw the ball into quadruple coverage, and if you want me to pull it up, we can do it with no pressure.
Okay.
He threw a fade route to Kyron Lacy into quadruple coverage.
And those were two turnovers. Okay. But what about and outside of a few scramble opportunities, that game was pretty daggum amazing. Outside of 2 scramble opportunities that he passed up. So you're talking about 4 plays, including a game-winning drive that had 3 fourth-down conversions. That is one of the best.
That is an elite drive. I can take away an elite drive. Carter, he had 3 other instances where it was the opposite of elite.
Yes. And
so don't say that it's the big Carter. Bama Burrow is one of the greatest games that you've ever seen. Jaden Florida is one of the best games that you're ever seen. When you say that it's one of the best games that I've ever seen a quarterback have, again, for me, you're putting him up there with them because you've covered them.
Yes. And
it's not, it isn't.
But you're leaving out the second part of that. For a first-year starter, Garrett Nussmeier versus Ole Miss is one of the best games I have ever seen. In particular, a first-year starter in that environment have. It really was that good.
Y'all give me a suggestion. So, again, you still haven't answered my question. Turnovers.
Yes, that is one major weakness, in particular in that Texas A&M game, that he was terrible. And he would probably sit here and tell you the same thing. The third
Yeah,
and two
he would. Yeah, he would.
The 3rd and 2 interception thrown across his body was bad. He has an issue throwing into the flats, as evidenced by the second A&M turnover. But when you consider a quarterback who did not have a consistent run game, you're Mr. Run the Football. And for him to find ways to win some of the games where we had a really bad post-game win probability, like versus Ole Miss and versus South Carolina, that is something for
Carter. You should not have won South Carolina. Don't you dare come in here and tell me about South Carolina when he threw a pick and then he flopped on the ground and they awarded him the penalty. Let's not do that.
And that interception was terrible. But
okay, but let's not do that because again, he got bailed out. He got bailed out of South Carolina.
But Blake,
the
score was 17-0. And who
sounds cute? You had 3 turnovers in that game.
And who brought you back into the game? Who was
that? He was a big part of it. But to say that you are in those situations, Carter, you turned the ball over to get there.
That wasn't what got them in the deficit.
Sure. You had 2 3-and-outs because he had horrible decisions. He almost got picked by Emenwari on that second drive. Yes, he did. He almost had 4 turnovers in that game. I will pull the clip up. But you are not counting the ridiculous throws he had in that game. Carter, pressure does not mean to turn the ball over until the general public gets the understanding that even if Warren Sapp is knocking your head off, you do not turn the ball over. The greatest coach of all time said the best drive offensively ends in a what? A kick. You ask Nick Saban about turnovers and you come back and holler at me and tell me that it's not a massive issue. You turn the ball over and you're 70th, I think it was 74th in the country in turnovers. You do that again, you're staring 8-4 right back in the face. Yes, but I have a tough time. Hold on 1 second. The A&M turnovers, the Florida turnovers, the South Carolina turnovers, what was the Ole Miss turnovers? What were they? They mostly consisted of rolling out of the pocket and making silly mistakes. Were there not?
Yeah, some of them, yes.
Majority of them. Carter, you can't throw into quadruple coverage and tell me that that's not a silly mistake. You can't. I'm sorry.
No, but would you tell me this? If you were to grade the LSU run game last year on a scale of 1 to 10.
Ass.
Okay. So for a first-year starting quarterback.
What does that have to do with him throwing into quadruple coverage?
Because that's
what? Wait for it. Don't throw it.
Oh, I'm with you. He should have 8 more sacks. And I'm with you. In particular, the first Ole Miss interception. I am just telling you, Blake, that what he did last year as a first-year starter with no running game, a first-year P4 coordinator, and look, with all those dropbacks, somebody had to go out there and get it done. And it was number 13.
If you do not eliminate the turnovers, you will be 8-4 again. I will bet you $100,000 right now that if you have 15 turnovers plus, you will sit back in the same spot that you are a year ago. I will make that bet with anybody. Maybe you go 9-3 because defensively, I think you're going to be better. Do it again and watch what happens. You go right on ahead. You bet. If he is going to be that, he cannot turn the ball, punt the ball.
And understand, I'm not Mr. Sunshine Pumper LSU. It's just we have a disagreement on this, and that's fine.
Do you think that he's going to eliminate turnovers? Yes or no?
Oh, I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
Okay, then what is what I'm saying wrong? Here's the problem. Name a time that he's done that in 4 years.
What?
That there have not been decision concerns.
Oh, yeah. No,
okay.
I'm with you.
He is a first-time starter. going into this year, if he is going to be great, mark my words, he will have to have this, not completely this, not like he's got to be Joe Burrow. He's going to have moments where that goose egg is at the end of the stat line when it comes to turnovers. You just cannot have elite performances, in my opinion. And that's when everybody says he was elite in this game. We have this is where me and you disagree. You and I have a very different understanding of elite, or a very much different. I might put elite way higher than you do. Elite to me is when you go into Oklahoma, when you go into Clemson, when you go into Bama, and Joe and Carter, he had one turnover in between those 3 games. Jaden Daniels doing what he did. Like, you will have to have, there are too many talented quarterbacks in this upcoming draft for us to sit here and say that he cannot have that. Joe, I keep calling you Joe because I just did a show with Joe. Carter, you're going to, like, Art, you think he's better than Arch Manning?
Who, Garrett? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I think Arch has the best play caller in the SEC.
Yeah, great. Lagway, you take him over Lagway?
Who, Garrett? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You take him over Klubnik, so you're taking him over everybody. So basically, we're ignoring the turnovers.
It's a part of everybody's evaluation. Yeah, sure. But every quarterback has weaknesses, and for you, it's you weigh these turnovers very heavily.
Do you not?
I do, but when you had to do all the things that he had to do, for instance, I'll say this.
He didn't have to spin out left and throw the ball up to a 5'7" receiver. Sorry.
Oh, and that was a really bad decision. But
he didn't have to throw into quadruple coverage with the game on the line.
And he guesses. I've called that out in every film study. Some of the good throws, some of the really good throws, he's guessed and gotten lucky. I will give you.
I think he got lucky on the Aaron Anderson throw.
Which one?
The one for the touchdown. I mean,
versus Ole Miss.
Yes. Can I tell you why?
Go on. Yeah.
Because he's already anticipating the throw before the break. Either we have a situation where he just absolutely knew the route for once in that game, or we have a situation where he's just throwing it to Aaron Anderson because he sees everybody's backs turned.
Well, I would guess his thought, and I'm not Garrett, but his thought process there was Ole Miss on that drive stayed in a too high shell the entire drive. I will, and one thing I'll say, as great as that drive was for Garrett, is they played 2-man under on every snap. It was one of the most despicable
insane things Pete Golden's ever done.
And I know you're a big Golden guy. And I am too.
Well, I mean, they led the country in sacks. I turned the comments off for me because I can't look at them. I know they're obliterating me. Are they obliterating me?
I don't know. I try and lock in on you.
Oh God.
No, it's fine. Look, it's.
I get so much hate mail behind this. That's why I don't talk about the kid.
You should. I mean, look, I've gotten some really nasty messages of my criticism of Brian Kelly. I think the most visceral was of Mia BK in the Alabama game.
Oh God.
And at the end of the first half, management felt so lessy. And I was like, oh God, please don't turn into Miles right now. And he did at the end of that, the end of that first half. But look, criticism is part of it.
It is, though. The problem with that, and we had that debate, the problem was that his quarterback just threw a pick. And he just threw his 7th pick in a month span. Again, hold on. If I tell you right now that from October the 1st to November the 5th that you're going to have 10 turnovers, what do you think LSU's record is? Not turnovers, 10 interceptions. What do you think it's going to be?
Well,
because here's the problem.
How the games play
it
out.
Doesn't. You can't do that. You can't just, if we're going to take one central thing that's the biggest weakness, take Garrett Nussmeier out of it. If you put in quarterback, Bo Nix.
So let me ask you a retort. Just for clarity. All right. Let's say a quarterback went 4 consecutive games with no touchdown passes.
Sure.
What do you think their record would be?
Do they have turnovers?
I mean, there was a few mixed in there. Yeah. Let me just ask you if a in particular first-year starter, no touchdowns.
If a first-year starter had hardly no attempts and hardly no yards and hardly no touchdowns, interceptions, or no touchdowns but a couple of picks, they must have been able to run the football at an elite level.
Right. So that was Joe Burrow in his first year. And LSU
Right.
he had 4 consecutive games where there was no touchdown pass.
Right.
All right. So in order for you to win games, especially and that was Joe Burrow with a good defense, right? And we all know what happened the next year. I do not think Garrett next year is going to be as good as Joe or Jaden. I don't think that that's necessarily in the range of outcomes for Garrett. Even though I'm a big Garrett guy, I think he's going to be very good. I do think there is a world where he's in New York City, maybe not winning it. I think Jeremiah Smith's going to win the Heisman next year. But
I don't think he's got the quarterback play.
And my retort to that would be, he's so damn good that he'll make a quarterback look. So yeah.
Julian's their quarterbacks had 4 interceptions in their spring.
Right. So if a wide receiver is going to win a long shot Heisman Trophy,
it's got to be Devonta Smith. It's got to be imbalanced. And
right.
Here's the thing: Travis Hunter won it a year ago. That ain't happening again.
Oh, so you
I'm putting all my money on quarterback.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. But yeah, Jeremiah Smith's going to be my pick.
All right. Here's the thing. I'll bring this up. Speaking of quarterback play calling, and turnovers.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't know what you were going to talk about.
Go ahead.
No, I just brought up the Garrett thing. You might have wanted to ask me about something.
It doesn't matter. We're in the off season. Garrett's play did get better when Brian Kelly was a part of play calling. If we're being honest.
Well, here's my problem, Blake, is I have defended Garrett, and it's in large part because of 2 different things, right? I think 2 different areas LSU really was well below average, all right? And I think these 2 areas, when it comes to offense outside of the quarterback position, can hurt your offense to where it's so hard for any offense to succeed, right? It's play caller and it's center, right? Because they're the center of everything outside of the quarterback position. I think an offense can overcome a wide receiver dropping a pass because you could just sub that receiver out. Centers just don't get subbed out, right? So if a center is having a tough year, which DJ Chester, by every account, had a tough year, it is so hard to overcome it. And part of what made that a problem for DJ Chester is that the play calling wasn't great, which makes the life of a center that much more difficult. So I factor that in a lot more heavily than probably you do, which is why I excuse some of the turnovers for.
Yeah, but again, you're taking it from a quarterback's perspective. Take it from an O-lineman's perspective. Like, a center should never have single team. You're not just beating just the center. That means something got missed. If DJ Chester is on somebody, that means somebody else is getting beat in the interior. Because you're not going to go zone in reference to that with a 1 technique and there's no blitz. It does not excuse the number 1 rule of offense, which becomes above everything else. Everything else is about the number 1 rule of football offensively by any coach, Joe Brady, name any OC. You cannot turn the ball over as bad as it may get. That is the bottom line. Carter, we gave teams drives, Ole Miss, A&M, and Florida. We gave South Carolina as well. All those games, we gave them the ball inside of their own 20. They scored. Marcel Reed is still running on our ass. Bama is still running on our ass. Defenses will not overcome that unless you're the level of Ohio State. You know who else did it? Ohio State. Go back and watch the 2 games that they lost. They turned the ball over inside their own 20 and lost.
Yeah,
it is. I don't want to hear anymore about DJ Chester play calling when it's the number one rule. That is the number one rule of the entire offense. Everything else can be ass. Carter, what is more important than not turning the ball over? That would be my question to everybody. What is me saying that? Then you're going to have to explain to me what is the number one rule?
Oh, well, I mean, it also depends on the context of those turnovers, right? Like, are you under pressure?
D3, he's got 45 games under his belt. He's played in a shitload of games.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm totally with you with the limiting of the turnovers. What I would say though, Blake, is there is not a quarterback in college football that is asked to do as much as Garrett is asked to do. Is that not true? Yes or no? When it comes to the offense that LSU,
yes, it is, or no, that is not true. No.
That is undoubtedly
every
true.
Quarterback at every institution is asked not to turn the ball over. They're asked not to.
Yes. Every coach that has ever existed says, please don't give the ball to the other team. That is very simplified, right? His play calling does not give Garrett as many layups as far as reads and guys running wide open.
Then why were we coming here week in and week out saying that he's missing Aaron Anderson over the middle on a drag route?
Yeah, and he missed some. I will give you that. But it's not like Texas where Quinn Ewers had guys running wide open at all times. It's not like what Jackson Dart had to deal with at Ole Miss.
And you know what Quinn Ewers did when he didn't have guys open?
Go on.
He took the sack, Carter. I mean, like, there's got to be a success. Look, again, I hate that we're having this convo, really, because the level of hate that I get from it.
I want you to be honest, and I'm not. I'm
not going to back down because until
I'm not asking you to.
No, I know, but anybody that comes in this show and thinks that I will ever back down from telling the truth, you call me whatever you want. The level of shit that I get for this is astronomical. It's worse than Miles Brennan.
No,
it's worse. And you were there during the years where, Carter, people were like sending me all kinds of crazy shit. I would send them to you.
And they should have known that you're a fan of Crocs.
Lemon pepper steppers.
Which would have prevented all of this.
You know what I got? I got Crocs on a Glock for your ass. Keep sending me my address via DM.
Well, it is ironic that this is the first time that I've worn Crocs in forever. I actually have my Crocs on right now.
I do too.
but
look, here's the truth.
But let me ask you this, because
hold on. Let me make a public service announcement. Let's not let this debate a sports debate where y'all take it so far that you're sending absolutely outrageous shit. It's a conversation. It's simply a conversation at the water cooler. So if we can't have those conversations and I keep getting the hate mail that I'm getting, I'm not going to talk about his ass ever again.
All right, I won't. I
won't.
The next 4 segments, I'm not even going to bring his name.
Don't have.
The only reason I brought it up because I had a very astute guest earlier who is way higher on Garrett Nussmeier than me, and I get called.
Well, then he's definitely bigger than me, because until he eliminates, again, in a nutshell, the kid can come in here and do some spectacular things. No one will deny that. Carter, I just worry so much about the decision making that it would keep me up at night.
And trust me, I I take evaluations very seriously, as you know. I'm very thorough. I watch as much as I possibly can. I try and fact.
I know you do.
And I just I guess I just defend maybe QBs a little too much. And I was thinking about this the other day. PFF grades quarterbacks way higher than everyone else at the college level. Like they give ridiculously high PFF grades that I strongly disagree with pretty often. And maybe I'm starting to get like that. Maybe it's me. So after this, I'll probably go rewatch all the games again.
Do it. See, I'm already getting some hate from Christian Burts. It's okay. All right. Final thing before I let you out of here. Anything catch your eye this week?
No, let me ask you this, because I'm working on a new channel, working on a lot of different YouTube projects, and you are still 8-game conference schedule over 9.
I am.
Okay, so you're commissioner, all right, and you have criticized Greg Sankey, as have I.
Yes.
You're commissioner, okay. If you were to maintain an 8-game conference schedule,
yes,
how would it actually look after this year? How would you structure it after this year?
I don't think football-wise scheduling that they got it wrong. I don't think they got it wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
So for example, a 3-year player at an institution would play every team in the SEC. If you're there for 3 years, you're going to play every SEC opponent
in an 8-game schedule.
Yes, because there's 16 teams, right? You play so next year LSU's rotation turns, right? They'll play Tennessee, they'll play Texas, they'll play Georgia, they'll play Auburn, they'll play Mississippi State.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So they'll and then who would the other games be?
Then I'm assuming like Arkansas. So you're gonna have to play teams that you already been playing,
right?
Ole Miss.
So that's the problem I have with the 8 versus 9 is that I don't know, because what they basically did was they flipped the 8-game schedule to be the same as last year to this year, right?
Yeah, just home and away,
right? So I was trying to figure out what it would look like after this next year if you're going to stay at 8. How many permanent rivals are you going to keep on your schedule every year?
It would probably be 2.
Okay. So if you do that, then
I mean, should Bama without Saban be a permanent rival?
It can't be. It's impossible because
it is. It is because you have Arkansas and then Ole Miss.
Well, more so from Bama's standpoint, because Alabama runs everything. They always will. They're not going to let Alabama not play Auburn. We all know that.
And Tennessee.
Yeah, they're not going to take Tennessee away. So you would need at least 2 permanents for that. And I don't think Georgia wants to lose Auburn because that's the longest SEC rivalry.
And they're not going to lose Florida.
Okay. So
I mean, but here's the thing. Regardless of what we debate off of it, you will play everybody once if you stay at an institution for 3 years. I mean, when you expand that much, what else do you want to expect? I mean, does anybody have more than 3 rivalries, true rivalries in the SEC?
Well, LSU really doesn't have.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about keeping rivalries intact, well, most of them have 2 big ones. I mean, you're going to have to compromise when you expand.
Yeah.
So the expansion of this, no, I'm not changing the 8 games right now, especially because the Big Ten told me to. You don't tell me what the fuck to do. Who are you to dictate what the fuck to me what you think that I'm going to do? Go, Carter. I would rather Carter. You do realize? Hold on. Can I pull something up for you? You know who else has been screaming about 9-game rosters? I forgot to tweet this out this morning. let me tell you about the great team of Nebraska. Guess who Nebraska gets to play this year? And tell me if you wouldn't want this schedule. In the Big Ten, Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, Penn State, Iowa.
I've not looked at their schedule.
I'll look at it. I'll repeat it. They have Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, Penn State, Iowa. And this Rudy Poo's out here saying that the SEC should have 9 conference games. Brother, you play one ranked opponent. Carter, they got one ranked opponent on their schedule this year at Penn State.
You don't think Michigan's going to be ranked preseason?
They very well could, but are you 1,000% sold that Michigan's going to be good? Carter, they miss Oregon and they miss Ohio State. If you told me, if you're an LSU fan, would you rather go through that or would you rather go through something else or what you got to go through? Get out of my face with that shit.
So, but here would be my retort is LSU doesn't play Texas or Georgia.
Sounds good, but guess who they do get to play? They do get to play Bama. They do get to play South Carolina with arguably, which Carter, I don't know if you saw this, they have him projected a top 5 pick. You got at Clemson, you have, by the way, correct, but that's your September. You have John Mateer in Oklahoma. Carter, I'm telling you right now, they ain't got a quarterback on this schedule that's better than John Mateer right now. Bryce Underwood at Michigan might be, but he's not that right now. He's not. All right, y'all gonna go ahead and fucking find out. That Big Ten schedule, this schedule right now is ass. It is pure asshole.
So you think Alabama's a better team than Michigan?
With all things being considered right now, yes. Blake, they lost to Michigan in the bowl game. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm not taking bowl game bullshit. I'm not doing it. And I think they're going to be better at quarterback.
Here's my thing though, is I do think the SEC is better than the Big Ten. I do. But I don't think
schedule's weak.
I mean, it comes down to if Michigan takes a step forward, comes down to if USC takes a step forward. And we're acting like the middle tier of the SEC was unbelievable.
Carter, the literal middle tier team in the SEC this year was South Carolina. The middle tier team in the Big Ten this year literally is Nebraska. Look it up for yourself.
Well, South Carolina was what, 6th? The 6th ranked team?
No, actually they finished 7th. They finished 7th because LSU and them both finished 9-4, and LSU had the win over them.
Well, I was going by the college football playoff ranking.
Oh, well, yeah. No, they were the
LSU was 7th at the end.
Right. I thought you meant like now. I just meant from an overall standing at the end of the season, but correct. But regardless, LSU, how about this? You're making my point. LSU versus Nebraska. LSU's waxing that ass. Turnovers or no turnovers, they're waxing that Nebraska ass. I don't give a shit what y'all better watch the Big Ten more. All right, I'm telling you right now. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, great teams. The bottom, I'm telling you, Carter, you better go watch more of it. The bottom tier of these teams are fucking ass. They're horrible.
Yeah, but
brother, Maryland, brother, UCLA for us, based off of transference, was Florida. We played both of them. Which team was better to beat or harder to beat?
UCLA or Florida?
Yeah, they finished at the same equally per the conferences. Florida and UCLA. UCLA is ass.
Yeah, but I do think you're taking too much away from just 1 year of this, right?
Carter, name a year that the bottom half, the Big Ten's been anything worth a fuck.
There's been plenty of years where the bottom half of the SEC was just downright atrocious.
Sounds good. But again, I get to go up against Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, Iowa.
Yes.
You cannot convince me that those teams are better than the schedule that they sure as fuck don't have the better talent that you're going to see at all.
Okay. So why did Tennessee have a easier strength of schedule per sports rankings than any team in the Big Ten last year?
They didn't more than Indiana.
Yeah, but it depends on what strength of schedule.
You know why? Because Tennessee went in and beat a ranked opponent. They actually played and beat a ranked opponent. Carter, Indiana didn't beat a ranked opponent.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I felt Tennessee was probably better, and I'm with you that Indiana was probably fraudulent. But I think you would agree that Indiana was more so a byproduct of Michigan having the worst year that they've had in a very long time, and Washington having
Georgia and Bama. You could say the same thing. Carter,
yes, and then Michigan beat Alabama.
Carter, name a year UCLA or Northwestern or Minnesota or Maryland or Michigan State, for that matter. The Mel Tucker years at the end there were horrible.
And this would be my main thing, why I think they should go to 9, is that the SEC schedules themselves are too imbalanced, right? What Tennessee had to play was so much easier than what LSU had to play. South Carolina had to play.
That sounds good and all until you turn it around, like with LSU next year, and you got to play Texas, Georgia, and let's just say Ole Miss, and we
don't know what the schedule format.
No, that's bullshit. Yes, we do. We know exactly what the schedule format is because Greg Sankey, when he announced the schedules this year, came out and said, you will play this teams, you will do a home and home. Then the teams that you didn't play in the SEC, you will play in 3 years since the expansion. I guarantee you next year, you have Georgia, you have Texas, you have Tennessee. Who else have we not? You have Mississippi State and Auburn. I guarantee it. He's already made that issue. Again, every SEC opponent will play. If you stay at an institution in 3 years, you will play every opponent.
Right.
You will.
It just comes down to what they actually.
I mean, but even in Tennessee's imbalance, I mean, are we gonna literally sit here and act like going up against Georgia, Bama when they're right and they like? What are we doing?
Georgia beat them easily.
Exactly. But it's like going up against Penn State. The other teams are Carter, Florida. They had to go up against Florida. Florida is better than a lot of these teams.
Yeah, and then
they're better than UCLA. I mean, Northwestern is like playing Carter, they had 2 teams in the Big Ten that was like Mississippi State.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think Purdue had a generationally underqualified coach, and a lot of those teams just bottomed out. They just had young coaches that weren't quite ready, and I think the Big Ten will have a bounce back.
You knew what was going to spark this show, didn't you?
Look. I debate all the time. I just think, when you look at what Georgia had to go through, their SEC schedule was so much harder than that of Tennessee, than that of Texas's. And
well, then, Carter, how are you going to fix it? A nine game conference doesn't change that for Georgia. A 9-game conference schedule. You're talking about Tennessee. Well, guess what? It doesn't change it for Georgia.
Oh, yes, it does. Big time.
No, it does not. It makes it harder for Georgia because here's the truth, what you're missing here. They still got to play Texas. They still got to play Auburn. They still got to play Florida. They still got to play Ole Miss. They still got to play Tennessee. They still have to play all of those teams. There's always going to be imbalance.
Oh, I know, but
could you imagine if Georgia adding on to their schedule has to go up against South Carolina?
Yes. And that's perfectly fine because
That's not equal.
yes, it is, Blake, because
You're gonna make the argument that it's equal to the Big Ten who's pushing you to do this?
no, I don't care what the Big Ten is deciding or asking the SEC to do. I am more so saying for the sake of SEC fairness that you have to balance out the schedules. All right. So for instance, let's go back to Garrett Nussmeier. All right. So Garrett Nussmeier. Okay, let's hear this out. Hear this out. Garrett Nussmeier and LSU ended the playoff campaigns of Ole Miss and South Carolina by beating them. Right?
Florida ended Ole Miss's playoff run.
Right. But let's just say Ole Miss and South Carolina, if they beat LSU, they're both probably Ole Miss definitely is getting into the playoff, right?
Yeah, but you could say that if Ole Miss beats Kentucky, they're in the playoff.
Okay, so hear me out. The 3 teams in the SEC that made the playoff, none of them had to play LSU. None of them. All right? So how can you say that you have a conference under one umbrella like the SEC and you don't play most of the teams? You play less than 50%.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
Carter, you're one of the teams, and there's 16 teams. You play 8 games.
Okay, so slightly over 50%.
Yeah, you play over 50%, which, by the way, is the same in every conference.
Right. But if you have a 9-game conference schedule, it balances things out where you don't have a Tennessee that gets a far easier schedule in your own conference
Carter,
have to go through. LSU, I'll tell you this. If LSU had played what Tennessee's schedule was last year, LSU would have gotten into the playoff.
You lost to Bama, which they beat them, and you would lose to Georgia.
And
you would lose to USC. And you would lose to A&M.
Which USC?
I still think you should have lost to South Carolina, but out of conference, you still would have played USC, right? If you're talking about their SEC schedule that you're changing, like there's still teams that you played that you would have lost to.
If LSU had played Tennessee's schedule, they would have finished with only 2 losses and still made the playoff. More than likely.
So you think that they're beating? They lost to Florida. Tennessee played Florida. Tennessee beat 2 opponents that we couldn't.
Yes. So they would have found a way to win one of those games. One of those games that they didn't win.
That's a big what if when they played some of the same opponents that we did and they beat them and we didn't.
Right. So
that's 2 games, Carter. I mean, you can't. Yeah. I disagree with you on that because you can't assume that just because you can't assume that. Then you play Georgia. There's no way. You lost to 2 teams, then you would lose to Georgia. There's no way you could say that with confidence.
But I can't say with confidence that Georgia would have beat LSU last year. They almost lost to Georgia Tech, Blake.
Carter.
They lost by 1 point to Kentucky.
Carter. Vandy almost beat Texas. Arizona State almost beat Texas, and you thought that they were one of the best teams in the country last year. They are a drive away from tying Ohio State in the playoff. I don't care about what ifs. I care about did they win the game? They did win the game. You can't just assume that happens. Carter, he still turns the ball over versus Florida. He still turns the ball over. Carter, don't you dare come in here and say that we're going to beat Georgia. Now you've lost me. You completely Carter, you lost.
Wait, Georgia barely beat Kentucky. Georgia barely beat Georgia Tech.
And they were the champion of the conference, and they beat Florida, and you couldn't.
Yes. And does Georgia win that game?
They didn't get blown out by Alabama like you did. By the way, they went on the road and did it. They beat Texas twice. You're not doing that. And if you think that we're there, last team's team was there, you're vastly off.
I'm not saying LSU's better than Georgia. And to say that they
You're just saying that they're going to beat them.
I didn't say that they're going to beat them. It's not a foregone conclusion that LSU is going to beat Georgia. It's not. It's not. That's my point.
All right, I got to go take some Tums. You're giving me
go look at Tennessee's schedule and then compare it to what LSU and what South Carolina had to play. Go look at it. It's not
South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina had a brutal SEC schedule.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't you dare throw it in South Carolina's schedule. They played all four. They played four of the
that's my
six.
Point,
right.
Is if you look at the strength of schedule metrics, in every single one of them, Texas and Tennessee's were lower in the actual conference.
The problem with your theory is it's never going to be equal for everybody. 9 games does not do that.
That's mathematically impossible because you add.
It is mathematically impossible. Add a game to everybody's schedule. Give Tennessee a ranked opponent. Guess what? If you gave Tennessee Texas, it still doesn't equal the level of what Georgia went through. There will always be an imbalance.
Yes, but it evens.
So you're talking about
more.
Equality when we go in sports and there's never equality. Guess what? In next year, Georgia gets the lighter schedule and the lighter end of the stick.
Yes, but in a 9-game conference schedule, it does not fluctuate as much. It just doesn't. Because you're playing basically, if you do it in a 3-6 formation.
Okay. Is the SEC the toughest conference in the country?
Yes.
Does it make it harder when you got to play one of those other teams in your own conference?
Yes. Absolutely.
Will there ever be schedule equality?
No.
What are we talking about?
There will never be schedule equality in any sport. I'm saying it would make more fair. It would make everything more fair, everything a lot more even.
I started off the show last night saying that college sports, we're in the era of equality. And all I'm hearing right now is equality this, equality that. You know what? That team behind me in 2019, the team in 2011, they went up against a brutal schedule. Ohio State beat 4 ranked opponents in a row.
Yeah, now we're talking about all-time greatest teams. I'm not talking.
Ohio State is not one of the all-time greatest teams.
No, but you're comparing LSU to the other LSU team.
You came in here and said you told me we don't back down. Okay, Carter, if
backing down is not playing a 9-game conference schedule, which is what LSU wants to do.
No. LSU wants to, yes.
Yes.
But they voted 10-6 to vote it no. You want to know the teams that voted no on it?
The lower half SEC teams.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yes. Kentucky was the biggest.
Yeah. And guess who else voted no for it? Georgia. Texas. You know who did? Ole Miss voted yes, we will do it. Okay, Lane Kiffin went up there and said we ain't going to do it. Their AD voted yes for it.
Georgia voted for it. It was A&M, Florida. It was A&M, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, LSU, was it not? Weren't those the 5 teams?
Hold on. Let's go to Rafino and Joe show.
Who were the 5 teams? I remember it was 5.
Yeah.
The first time that they had to vote on this.
LSU, Missouri, Ole Miss, Arkansas. Oh, no. Yeah, Arkansas did vote for it. Remember the Sam Pittman thing? Arkansas and Mississippi State did not. Who is this here? N. Where's the other Y here? Tennessee.
I guess.
This is per Ross. So I don't know. Maybe somebody's wrong.
I'm just saying, you as a neutral college football fan would benefit from a 9-game SEC schedule.
But we're not neutral.
Yes.
You and I are not neutral.
Yes.
And asking LSU to play another ranked opponent only makes shit harder for us to get to the playoff.
I would not disagree with that.
And if you go to the 5-11 model, okay, it makes it easier for the Big Ten when they got to play Dookie Water Tech.
Yes, which is why when the SEC inevitably goes to 9, they're going to want the 4-4-2-2-2 model, whatever that is.
I agree. All right.
We'll see you, man. If anybody wants to debate me on this.
Pause. Like Garrett Nussmeier said today, you know I love you, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know after this one. I'm kidding.
I'm so glad that we can have conversations, and then
hey,
you know,
look, I'm
I'm not mad. You're not mad. It just, I don't know.
what you don't know is I'm coming to the T-ball championship and rooting for the opposite team. That's how much I hate you. I'm rooting against Ben's Blue Barracudas, whatever his name is, the name of their team. Give me the name of the other team. Give me the name of the other team.
We don't have it yet. They play tomorrow night, and I was thinking about going and scouting a T-ball team. What do you think?
Yeah, you should.
Let's go scout some T-ball. We did make it to the super regionals of the T-ball tournament.
Let's go. But if anybody has any debate on anything I say, I would love to discuss on social media. Hit me up, and yeah, we'll talk soon. See you, buddy.
Love you, buddy. Cheers. We'll see you. All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Discussions are had, and they're never vulgar. Not like that. See you tomorrow. Peace.